Looking for a magical getaway in Ontario that blends the wonder of the outdoors, birding, and one of the cutest small towns? Then a birding getaway in Chatham-Kent needs to be on your radar, especially if you've been dreaming about a birding escape filled with migrating warblers, peaceful marsh trails, and incredible lakeshore views. Home to the amazing Festival of Flight at Rondeau Provincial Park, this region is known for offering some of the best birding in Ontario during the migration season. In this video, I'm sharing a few of the best places to go birding in Chatham-Kent, taking you inside the Festival of Flight experience and showing you where to eat and stay to help you plan the perfect nature-filled getaway. Whether you're an avid birder or love spending time outdoors, this is one road trip in Ontario you do not want to miss. One of the highlights of this birding getaway in Chatham-Kent was visiting Rondeau Provincial Park during the Festival of Flight. Now, if you've never been to Rondeau before, this park is honestly such a special place. It's Ontario's second oldest provincial park and protects one of the largest remaining areas of Carolinian forest in the province. The park sits right along Lake Erie, which makes it an incredible stopover point for migrating birds every spring and fall. Because of its unique location and its habitats, from wetlands to marshes and forests, it's become known as one of the best birding destinations in Ontario. The Festival of Flight celebrates spring migration and takes place over 2 weeks at the beginning of May. Over 334 species of birds have been recorded in the park, which is close to Point Pelee National Park standards, making Rondeau a great alternative to avoid the crowd. What I especially love about birding here is the sheer number of warblers that you can see during the migration. I love them. They're tiny, fast, chaotic little jewels that somehow manage to disappear the second you lift your camera. But Rondeau is one of those places where they're suddenly everywhere. We saw black and white warblers creeping along branches, magnolia warblers flashing their bright yellow colors through the trees, and even Canada warblers. And then there's the prothonotary warbler, one of the stars of Rondeau Provincial Park. This gorgeous golden yellow warbler is endangered, and Rondeau is one of the few places in Canada where they nest. The really cool thing about them is that unlike most warblers, they nest in cavities near the water, which makes the flooded forest trails, like the Tulip Tree Trail, ideal habitat. And the staff have created nest boxes for them, a foot or two above the water. So when you see those nest boxes, you'll know these endangered gems are nearby. And I was so excited because I actually saw 2 of these birds during my visit and even managed to get a photo of one. It's out of focus and definitely not winning any wildlife photography awards anytime soon, but I'm still counting it as a major win. Another thing I really loved about the Festival of Flight is that they offer guided bird hikes throughout the festival, 2 a day. And honestly, I highly recommend joining one, whether you're a complete beginner or someone who's been birding for years. The guides know exactly what different species have been spotted recently and can help you point out which birds that you might have just walked right past. And they share so many helpful identification tips along the way. I also think guided hikes make birding feel way less intimidating if you're new to it. Birding can definitely feel overwhelming at first when people around you are somehow identifying birds by hearing half a chirp from 400 feet away. So having someone guide you through it and explain what to look for and listen for really makes such a huge difference. And honestly, during the guided hikes, with the buzz of seeing new birds and everyone helping each other as to where to look, it just feels like a really fun shared appreciation for nature. And it's easy to see why so many people consider Rondeau one of the best places to see birds in Ontario. I recommend popping into the visitor center at Rondeau Provincial Park before you head out on the trails. Inside, you'll find exhibits about the park's ecosystem and the variety of flora and fauna that can call the park home. One of the most useful things at the visitor center during the Festival of Flight is the bird sighting board. This board gets updated to show where different species have been recently spotted throughout the park, including the species name, which trail they were spotted on, and when they were seen. This definitely helped us prioritize which trails we wanted to visit, as well as gave us an idea which species to look for on each. So before you hit the trails, make sure to take some time to explore the visitor center first. It gives you a better understanding of the park and can help you plan your day. If you're looking for the best birding trails in Rondeau Provincial Park, I'm sharing a few of my favorites that are must visits during the migration season. And honestly, I think they're some of the best trails in Chatham-Kent for birding year-round. First up is the Tulip Tree Trail. The Tulip Tree Trail is roughly 1.4 kilometers long and is an easy loop. It takes you through the incredibly beautiful Carolingian forest filled with towering tulip trees, swampy sections, and along wooden boardwalks. Plus, the trail takes you out to one of the beaches in the park that is home to sand dunes. This trail is one of the best spots in the park for spotting warblers during their migration season. In the forests, we saw black and white warblers, Canada warblers, rose-breasted grosbeaks, and tons of other tiny songbirds darting around the trees. In the area of the sand dunes, we even spotted red-headed woodpeckers. This is one of the best trails in the park to look for the prothonotary warbler. Because they nest in the wet forest habitats seen along this trail, keep an eye out for them when you spot their nest boxes near the boardwalk, just a foot or so off the water. I loved how peaceful this trail felt. Even though it's one of the popular trails at Rondeau, since it's right beside the visitor center, it was mostly quiet for us in the early morning when we hiked it. Next up is Warbler Way. This trail is much shorter, but don't let the length fool you because this area is packed with birds. One of the reasons birders love Warbler Way is because there's a mix of open areas to see the middle canopy, as well as shrubs, which makes it way easier to see the birds. This trail is fantastic for spotting migrating warblers, especially during the peak migration season in May. Along the way, we saw great crested flycatcher as various warblers, including chestnut-side warblers, which were so close to us. It's also a great trail if you're newer to birding because it's short, accessible, and tends to have a lot of activity concentrated into one area. And finally, the Spicebush Trail. This trail is approximately 2 kilometers long and loops through forested habitat and along boardwalks through marshland. It was the quietest trail in the park for us. We only spotted one other birder near the very end of our hike. This area is great for spotting a mix of woodland birds and migrating species. Depending on the timing, you might see everything from warblers to vireos, thrushes, and wrens, as well as orioles. And I even spotted a nest with a pair of blue-gray gnatcatchers. And honestly, one of my favorite parts of birding at Rondeau is that every trail walk feels different. Between the variety of habitats, the number of species you can encounter, and the atmosphere during the migration season, it's easy to understand why Rondeau Provincial Park is considered one of the best places for birding in Ontario. Of course, Rondeau Provincial Park is definitely the star attraction, but there are other birding trails in Chatham-Kent that are absolutely worth adding to your itinerary. And two of my favorites are the Erieau Marsh Trail and Erieau Shore Trail, especially because they can easily be done together since the trails connect. Starting with the Erieau Marsh Trail, this trail is just under 2 kilometers long and takes you through beautiful wetland habitat. This trail is fantastic for spotting warblers and waterfowl. We spotted a number of different warblers, great catbirds, and a swan nesting in the marsh. There's also an observation deck looking out over the marsh that is home to a flock of barn swallows. It's definitely one of those trails where you just want to take your time because there's always something happening if you just stop and listen for a minute. The Erieau Shore Trail is another short and easy trail. One of the absolute highlights of this trail for me was the observation tower. Once you climb to the top, you'll get these incredible panoramic views of Lake Erie, the marsh, and the surrounding area. This trail is also an excellent place for spotting warblers and other birds. We saw a number of yellow warblers. There was also several vireos moving through the trees. And what I love most about doing both of these trails together is how much variety you get in a relatively short amount of time. You experience the marsh habitat, lakeshore views, forest sections, and cool observation points. Of course, no birding getaway is complete without some tasty food along the way, and I've got a few great places to eat in Chatham-Kent for birders. If you're spending the day at Rondeau Provincial Park, grab a bite on the patio at Rondeau Joe's, just outside the park entrance. It's the perfect stop after a morning on the trails. And if you're exploring Erieau, enjoy fish and seafood at Molly and OJ's, or grab an epic pizza at Bayside Brewery along the waterfront. And if you're looking for more great ideas on where to eat, check out Chatham-Kent's website. When it comes to planning where to stay in Chatham-Kent during your getaway, there are a number of options. From camping at Rondeau Provincial Park to a more boutique experience at Willow Barrel Retreat. But during my trip, I stayed at the Erieau Motel in one of their colorful waterfront cottages, which was such a fun place to stay. It's located right in Erieau, so it's super convenient for exploring the marsh and shore trails. Plus, you get beautiful waterfront views and sunsets right outside your door. After spending a few days exploring the trails, spotting migrating warblers, and experiencing the Festival of Flight, it's easy to see why Chatham-Kent earned a reputation for offering some of the best birding in Ontario. I hope this video helps you plan your own birding getaway in Chatham-Kent. And if you're looking for more hidden gems and Ontario travel ideas, make sure to follow along for more adventures.